Today I'm going to show you how to make a folk Americana song that sounds like this.
Till it all disappears like a faded frontier, and all that was good's gold is black as coal. There's nothing left here.
Now, I've done a bunch of folk production tutorials on this channel before, but we haven't delved as much into the Americana realm of things. And for me, Americana represents more so the lyrics, the songwritings, and the themes that accompany the song. So for that reason, we're going to break this video down into two parts. The first half is going to be devoted to songwriting and how to write an Americana folk song. And the second half will be delving into the production techniques used to create a song like this. Speaking of which, this song is called Faded Frontier. It's the second single off my new EP, The Great Divide. I'd love for you to check it out. It's out wherever you get music right now, and I've got a couple amazing music videos that have come out and are on the way, so stay tuned for more updates like that. But now, let's get into the video. The idea for the song came with a simple theme, and that was Faded Frontier. I've mentioned this before, but I keep a list in my notes app of just potential song ideas, and Faded Frontier was one of those that was sitting there for a while. And one day, I just came up with the melody till it all disappears like a faded frontier, and all that's good is gold is black as coal. There's nothing left here. So I had this idea of Faded Frontier. I had a couple lines, and I wanted to delve more into this idea and this feeling of Americana. For me, Americana is about exploring the roots of America, the nostalgia of America, and the things that have been lost along the way. When I think of Americana, I just think of like dusty plains, hard living, hard work, and I wanted to reflect those themes and elements into the song. Whenever I start with a chorus, that kind of obviously shapes the rest of the song, and I like to work backwards. And what I ask myself when it comes to writing the verse is, how did I get here? How did I get to this point where I am being like, everything has disappeared, there's nothing left here? And so I really wanted to paint a picture and use a lot of imagery that would, again, represent these Americana elements, these worn, tattered imagery. So I just started with a description kind of myself, imagining myself living on a faded frontier. I started with the lyrics, "There's holes in my sweater, dust on the mirror, boots made of leather eaten by the years." Just kind of thinking about clothes I own that are sort of Americana or country related and what they look like. I have a jean jacket with holes in it. I have boots that are incredibly scuffed and dirty. And I kind of want to pull imagery from that and basically tell the story of things slowly eroding, things that were once nice disappearing, because again, that leads into the main idea of the chorus. I should also note, one of the other drivers of this inspiration and imagery is actually where I ended up filming a music video for this. About a couple years back, I visited this old mining town in Central California. It's called Bodie, and it is literally a preserved frontier town where there used to be a huge gold rush. Thousands of people live there, and now that all that remains is literally a faded frontier. And I had taken a bunch of photos like a couple of years ago, and like I looked at these photos as I was writing this song because they stuck vividly with me. And when I was looking for imagery, creaky floorboards, tattered down windows and houses, like looking at photos, it's almost like, I guess in modern terms, like looking at a Pinterest board. It provides a lot of inspiration for your songwriting. So that's a technique that I would recommend if you're stumped or just looking for inspiration. Look at images either online or in your camera roll and pull from the imagery you see there to describe and inform the scene you're trying to set. You can't always write about your own life, and you can't write completely fictional stuff, so I think a great way is to combine those two, because even though I've never lived on a frontier, I've never worked in a mining town, I have experienced loss, heartbreak, feeling like I've been left behind, and channeling those emotions and some of those tangible elements into a fictional setting and storyline is really fun and makes for exciting music and exciting songwriting, in my opinion. Next, we enter a pre-chorus. Now, I don't think you always need a pre-chorus, but I felt like it was necessary to bridge the gap between, okay, the verse was painting the scene, the chorus is like, this is the reality, this is where I'm at now, but I need something to bridge these two together. And it's just a brief change of chords, it's a very quick progression, but the lyrics are, life can change in a blink of an eye, but sometimes it just sneaks on by. And again, this was something that was meant to drive home the original theme, which, you know, a lot of the time you think of life can just change like that. But one of the main points of the song is that, no, actually a lot of time it happens so slowly you don't even realize you're losing it all. With just the daily routine caught up in your days, like you can't even notice sometimes that this is just passing you by. And that served as the bridge between the two. So in the first verse, I kind of described myself and where I'm at. In the second verse, I want to, again, set the scene a bit more. And one of the questions I ask myself when I'm wanting to describe those elements is, what do I smell? What do I taste? What do I hear? That sort of thing. And one of the most tangible memories from being at that mining town and in that general area of California, which is the Eastern Sierras, is the smell of sagebrush. And if you've ever been there, you'll know what I'm talking about. It smells like sage everywhere you go. And at this frontier, all of the grass had turned brown and golden. So in the second verse, I write, I walk through fields once painted with gold. The sun's rays shone the way back home. And I still smell the sage and hear the river roar. I can picture your face, a sweet summer storm. And something I used throughout this whole EP that I haven't done in the past was alliteration, which I used to think was like just a terrible literary element. But I have seen it used in some songs tastefully, and lines like a sweet summer storm really helped set a scene for me. And just using some of those things you might have learned in high school English class, apply that to your songwriting. And again, the reason I'm describing the setting and setting the scene so much is I just feel like that's a core element of the folk Americana realm. When I think of that, I'm picturing just plains, golden fields, tumbleweeds, dusty wind blowing, and all of these different elements, and that kind of really informed my first foray into writing a folk and Americana song. Now that pretty much covers the writing portion of it, so let's move on to the production process. I had a ton of fun working on this song because I used a lot of elements that I haven't used in previous songs, even folk songs, because I feel like there is a difference in the instrumentation between folk and Americana. One of the most quintessential Americana instruments to me would actually be a harmonica. I don't know why, but I just have this vision of someone on a prairie, playing a harmonica, a real cowboy. And that was an element that I brought in right away with the song. I'm playing, acoustic guitar, classic G chord, most folk Americana thing you could do, G and C chord. And then I just found a harmonica sample on Splice. I was doing like a nice little melody. And then a really cool thing that I actually stumbled upon by accident was this guitar tone, a tremolo sort of guitar tone. I used this plugin. It's by Neural DSP. It's called Tone King Imperial. It's modeled after an amp by that same name. It's great for this sort of gritty country western. It's got great clean tones, got a great bit of grit, and it has a wonderful tremolo feature. And if you don't know, tremolo is just kind of like this cool vibrato shakiness effect that is added to the guitar. You can also hear it a lot, like a fast tremolo in like surf rock, like Wipeout or like Beach Boys sort of stuff. But I had this tremolo effect on. I thought I was pitching down a guitar track that I wanted to make into a bass track, but I was actually pitching down just a guitar fill I did that mirrored the harmonica. And it created this super warbly, like bass tone that you hear in a lot of those like Western songs, like bum, bum, bum. With the harmonica, it just sounded straight out of a Western. I could just picture the scene so clearly before the lyrics even came in, which was exactly my goal. It sounded like this. Now that tremolo guitar is prevalent throughout the song. It adds a lot of character, I think. Another element was slide guitar. I've talked about this before, but Nathan Chapman has an incredible sample library on Splice with slide guitars. To me, like I almost like to use slides almost like risers or reverses, like this incredible swell into the chorus. I think it just adds a lot of dynamic energy, and again, it really enhances that folk feeling. Just pedal steel, slide guitar, instant win when it comes to producing songs like this. Definitely put them in. And another element that I wanted to use to drive home this idea of being on the prairie, being on this open field, was having wind noises. The song actually starts just with some wind noises. Again, I was sort of imagining like a tumbleweed rolling across the desert, and I have this sort of wind sound very low in the mix throughout. As I usually talk about in most of these production videos, I like to have some sort of atmospheric tone to set the feeling and create the mood. I also found this sort of desert monolith sound on like Pixabay or some free website, and it actually has like a note, I guess, to it, but it sounds like howling wind or a whistle, and that worked really well. And honestly, that's most of the main elements of production that I want to highlight in this video. The rest I've talked about a lot before. But again, really what I feel makes an Americana song is the lyrics and the themes and the content behind it. If you like what you heard, feel free to check out this song, Faded Frontier, or the entire EP, The Great Divide, if you like folk Americana music. Other ways you can help support the channel, like, subscribe, and right now, I'm probably on tour for this EP, so maybe come check me out if you're in Utah or California. Got a big release show on the way. Follow me on Instagram for more updates. That's enough from me. See you next time.
It all disappears like a faded frontier. And all that was good gold, black gold. There's nothing